Honorable Edwin Sifuna is supposed to be here, and they are a part of this statement they have all signed. And we have met here as elected MPs and members in good standing of the Orange Democratic Movement Party to set the record straight with regard to recent happenings within the party. We wish to make clear that many of us, if not all of us here, were present during both the ODM and the Azimio parliamentary group held on the 12th of July at the Jaramogi Foundation in Nairobi. At no time during the said meetings was it resolved that either the party or the coalition will be joining a coalition with William Ruto's KK party. It therefore came as a shock when senior members of ODM showed up on a list of cabinet appointees announced by Ruto yesterday. That some of our leaders have chosen to join a government indicted by the Kenyan people reflects badly on a party that has always advocated for and stood with the people. We have all along maintained support for the ongoing struggle to address the long-standing governance issues bedeviled in Kenya, and are appalled that we are now seen to be joining forces with the people responsible for these issues. To make it worse, the appointment do not reflect the diversity of the party we love, as there clearly was no regard to gender, age, or regional considerations. We wish to reiterate that the position of the party, as communicated by our Secretary General, who is Edwin Sifuna, earlier this week, that indeed the decision by our four comrades were personal and not as a result of any decision passed by the party. We call on the party leadership to move with speed and replace them. That is the end of the statement. I want to finish by saying that ODM party is like an army. 4 of our generals and the brigadiers have deserted duty and are gone to sleep with our enemy. It has no direction from the commander-in-chief, who is the Raila Amolo Odinga. The party leader was abroad on a private visit, only to come back and find 4 generals and the brigadier have deserted duty and they joined the opposite camp. So we are saying this is not the position of the party. Such monumental decision affecting the history, the principles, the ideologies of the party must have been passed by the parliamentary group meeting. I want to give my colleagues to add on what I've said, and I'll leave room for questions.
As a party, as elected members of the party, we want to reiterate and want to be very clear that ODM is an organized party and has got very elaborate structures and elaborate decision-making process as enshrined in its constitution. ODM has always been people-centered, has always practiced social democracy, where everybody matters and where the welfare of the people of Kenya matters. ODM is ODM what it is because of those long-held values. Our colleagues who have left to join government have left, I want to reiterate again to repeat, on their own volition. The ODM party is not in a coalition government with the KK party. ODM will remain in parliament as the minority party and will continue to offer oversight the KK government and expose all the ills, all the corruption, so that we continue to build and enhance this constitution and enhance our integrity, accountability. We just hope our colleagues who have joined the government are not going to soil the good name of ODM, because we don't see much that's going to come out of this KK government. We do not know exactly what they are going to do. So as a party, we dissociate ourselves from them, let them go in their individual. If they want to go and serve KK government, if they know how to implement bottoms up, let it their business, but it's not any way connected to the ODM party. Thank you.
Mine is very brief. One, that I want to wish those who have relinquished their party positions to join government well. And I want to declare here that I will be offering myself to replace one of the leaders who has left the party, so that we can continue with the ideals of this party. The public is wondering whether really it was the right time for us to abandon the cause. And we are telling the public we have not abandoned the cause. It is just generals who have downed tools, and other generals must be appointed to take over the war at the battlefront. Finally, I want to say this. ODM is a national party. We cannot reduce it to sharing seats tribally. It is very, very unfortunate. It is unfortunate that we lost over 50 young people in the last 1 month. It's unfortunate that we lost 75 people last year. And before we resolve the issues of their compensation, before we sit down to address the issues being addressed by Gen Z, we behave like vultures. It's totally unfortunate. And like my Honorable Ounda said, we dissociate ourselves from individual decisions of members of the party. Thank you.
Honorable Mugabe.
Yeah, question.
Yes.
Two things. The names submitted, the names and all that, they're coming for vetting and all that. What will be your individual positions when they come for vetting? And then the second question that Kenyans across are asking, and it's serious. Can the four individuals go on their own without the blessing of the party leader? Knowing the way ODM has been and all that, and the other political parties, can they go on their own without the blessing of the Can people believe that it was on their own and not without the blessing of the party leader? Who had talked of dialogue and who had...
Yes, as much as there is a party leader, but ODM operates under certain structures. And one of the highest decision making is a parliamentary group that was called upon last week that comprises members of parliament and also members of the National Executive Council. They sat, we deliberated on the issue of dialogue, and we said that the only thing that ODM is ready to engage KK is a National People's Convention. And it was read to the media, the standpoint of ODM as a party, and later on, it was also adopted by the entire Azimio brigade. So that is the structure of ODM, and that's how it operates, and that is the prism under which most political parties operate. So there is no any other decision other than that was given last parliamentary group. And you are aware that our party leader had traveled abroad. He just came yesterday. So anything that happens without the presence of our party leader is null and void. It is, and the Secretary General, through his letter, was written yesterday, yesterday but one, declaring the stand of ODM that there are precedents to an engagement of KK. The precedents, number one, is that abduction must stop. Secondly, all the people have lost life in the struggle from when Azimio was on the streets up to when the Gen Zs have been on the streets, all of the families affected must be compensated fully. The third one is that those arrested must be released unconditionally. And the fourth is that we must cater for those who are hospitalized out of the brutalities of the police, and a number of police officers who have been mentioned either in through media and they have been spotted, they must be brought to book. Those are the conditionalities of having the People's Convention. None of those conditionalities have been met. So that's why we are saying what happened yesterday were individuals who are clamoring to get jobs, and they are gotten out of ODM. We said bye-bye. The ODM party will continue. The new generals will emerge, and the party will emerge. Maybe this time round, we'll even emerge more viciously and very lethal. Vetting is a process of parliament. You cannot, ODM cannot stop vetting. The vetting will proceed because that is a parliamentary procedure.
And when the report comes to the floor of the House, members of Parliament will vote based on what their constituencies tell them. If they say don't pass this one, I, as a member of Parliament for Nyula, I will not vote. But if they say proceed, it will all depend on what you have. But you have some members in the entire cabinet were proposed who have got questionable characters. Yeah. We wait to see how they will defend themselves and what kind of report will be presented on the plenary. Yes. Chama cha ODM hakijaungana na chama cha UDA ama KK kwa muungano wote. Kwa hivyo kwa wakati huu vile tunavyo wamesaliti chama. Hiyo ni kusema tu kweli, wamesaliti chama, wamesaliti wa Kenya, wamesaliti wale vijana ambao walikufa tangu mwaka jana.
Ujuavyo ndugu yangu ni hivi. Katiba inamruhusu rais kuchagua mtu yoyote ambaye anafikiri anaweza msaidia kazi. Lakini katika demokrasia ya vyama vingi, ukitaka kumchukua mtu kutoka kwa chama kingine, inabidi rais awe na njia ya kuzungumza na uongozi wa chama kile. Katibu wa chama chetu ambaye yeye ndio huweka nakala zote za mikutano wa NEC, mkutano wa CMT na mkutano wa parliamentary group iko pamoja na NEC, amekanusha katakata. Na ule mkutano sisi tunasema tulielewana kuwa hakutakuwa na njia ya sisi kuacha kazi yetu kama walio wachache katika bunge tuingie katika serikali. Kwa hivyo kuambatana na hayo, na kwamba yeye kama katibu ajuavyo, hakuna mkutano ambao umeitwa wa vyama kuzungumza kwamba KK na chama chetu cha ODM tumekubaliana, tumeweka makataa kwamba tutakuwa na haya.
Yes.
From your statement, Raila Odinga was not aware. Why wouldn't he utilize even his experts to just communicate and clear the air that therefore that have now joined the government have not joined as ODM? Is this part of a script that you throw to them, then purport to denounce that you are aware? And also, I think in the appointment committee, some ODM members are part of that committee. Why not have them also remain adamant that they are not going, or they'll actually write a dissenting report on the same?
Yes, of course, we've written a minority report before. Last cabinet, remember, those who followed the proceedings.
Could have combined them.
Yes.
One question.
Yes.
Because the word out there is that it's your party leader who prompted your name.
Yes.
I'm sure who's telling the truth?
But there was a letter, I don't know why you people and managing your news. Everything has a process. There have been a parliamentary group meeting. We've never had any other parliamentary group meeting. And the position of the parliamentary group meeting was clear. The party leader was there. The letter written by Secretary General Edwin Sifuna just a few days ago has not been refuted by the same party leader.
Are you implying that Raila Odinga was not aware of what has happened?
But we are saying the same. A coalition government cannot be done in a convoluted manner. You know what a coalition government is. You cannot have a coalition government with a few people patches here and there joining the government. You must sit down, draw a coalition agreement. So if William Ruto decides to fire Oparanya, what will you do? If William Ruto decides to fire Joho, what will you do as a party? There must be an agreement that we are giving you, even this member becomes incompetent, shall be replaced by another member from the party. It cannot just be the way it was. This is a national coalition government. It's not a gathering of cattle heads of cattle in villages. This is a national coalition government by a very senior to the biggest political parties and the coalitions coming together to form a government is such a serious national agenda that you will see the party leader there. Where you saw William Ruto, you should have seen Gachagua, you should have seen Mudavadi, you should have seen Raila Odinga there. The absence of Raila Odinga tells you that is not part and parcel of what was happening. That was pure shenanigans from the four generals.
The question here is where is
it has not liquidated its membership in the Azimio coalition.
Yes.
So it cannot proceed to enter into another coalition before it liquidates this coalition. In any case, you say that, that Baba wrote a letter, forwarded the names, and none of you is showing us any letter.
Yes.
Any letter, where is it? You see, as we clearly say, we should avoid besmirching people's names. Baba did not write any letter. And if there's any letter that was rewritten, let whoever received the letter give us. In any case, there's nothing secret.
Yes.
Yeah, just something important.
Yeah, can we take the questions?
Just a minute, let me just clarify something.
But when Baba went for handshake the other time, there were no even documents which were publicized. So what makes you think that this time there should be documents?
Which handshake? But there was no coalition.
There was no coalition.
Did you see anybody? No, just a minute. Let's not confuse things. Did you see Uhuru appointing anybody from ODM party to his government? He didn't.
Maybe you can combine the question.
Yes. No, there's something else I wanted to clarify here. You know, it is very, very unfortunate from a media house. You want to ask us, why is Raila not saying no? You have Raila's conduct. You know how Raila speaks. Yeah, it's very unfair. Yes, it's very unfair. We are speaking in our right as members of parliament, members of the party, members who attended the parliamentary group meeting. Okay? We are not speaking here as spokesman of Raila Amolo Odinga.
Is it possible?
Silence is loud.
Is it possible, Mheshimiwa, that there could be an agreement and you are not aware of that?
No, that's
An agreement has to be ratified by the party structures. There was never such agreement presented in any party organs, be it at the NEC, be it at the management committee, be it at the parliamentary group committee.
Yes.
There was never such any agreement.
Yes.
In any case, the precedent to that agreement would have been a harmonized manifesto, so that whatever we are going to implement, we are implementing a harmonized manifesto. Here, these are employees of William Ruto, whom
Exactly.
he can keep and fire at will. They report to him, they will worship him, they will salute him, they will do everything to him.
Implement his manifesto.
Implement his manifesto,
And they don't salute.
which most Kenyans have said has failed. So I don't know what miracle our colleagues, and wish them well.
Yes.
We don't know what they will do.
Yes.
Itakuwa kwamba Rais William Ruto kuwapendekeza naibu wana party leader wa ODM kama waziri. When do you think ODM party?
No, we said the new generals are going to emerge. There is never a nature buzz vacuum. So there's not going to be a vacuum in ODM. New general, in fact, for your information, we are proposing that Edwin Sifuna will be there as the deputy party leader to hold brief for Raila as he campaigns for AU. So there is no vacuum. We are going to fill this vacuum.
The question on the same, it's now clear that there is a division. Are you not clear that this matter will start of the fall?
There is no fall. We are just saying there are vacuum. Vacuums are filled. Every party, when there is a position, other people fill it. You cannot serve in cabinet and be a deputy party leader. It is a law. So it has to be filled. So don't create a fall that is not there. It's not a fall.
And for that matter, you know, politics, by its nature, is about interest. If people switch their interest from ODM to Kenya Kwanza, those of us who still believe in the mass movement of ODM, we take over.
So with the development, how do you envision your role to oversight the government objectives moving forward?
In addition,
Yes,
also,
so
are you mounting pressure for Raila to also come out so that you can also know his stand?
okay.
You can join also with this.
Yes.
So Kenyans are asking, especially the Gen Zs, they are telling you guys hawakuwa wanafaitia nyinyi.
Exactly.
So the question is, are you telling us that Baba was away and when he came he was surprised that kuna watu wamepatiwa nafasi eti Baba anaweza akajilia watoto wake waende bila waende wakalelewa na jirani bila yeye kujua? That's the question.
Now, let's be very, very clear. And I want you to be very clear. ODM will remain ODM party. Will remain the minority party. ODM will remain the so-called, in the old system, the opposition party. ODM is not ceding its role at all to any other party. ODM will remain the minority party. And you can rest assured, we are going to oversight that the government robustly, whether our colleagues get appointed or not, we will continue even if they get appointed. When they do anything wrong, we will call them out as being what they are. So do not worry. On the issue of, and let us also be very clear, Baba speaks for himself and Baba will speak for himself. Just give him time. He is now back in the country. He will speak for himself and answer all the questions you are asking him to answer. Thank you.
Very good. Babu
has arrived.
Yeah?
So you're asking where's Raila also?
No, Raila is around.
Raila is around.
He's around.
She wants him to speak up.
A statement in terms of
He will speak.
But the statement was made by Edwin Sifuna. No,
Baba himself
Edwin Sifuna is. We are not talking on behalf of Baba. We are talking on behalf of the party.
Yes.
Let's make it clear. Baba is an individual, and the party is also there. So the party spoke through SG.
Yes.
So SG cannot write a letter without Baba's blessings. He's the party leader.
Okay?
Babu. Ambaye atumwa na Baba. I don't want to speak for Baba bwana. Tumeshasoma so chapa tu. Sawa.
Hao watu wa Citizen wamekataa.
This one. So hii ni yako
Ni sawa.
This one is Babu.
Hebu nitie huyo jamaa bwana. Si mimi ndio tutapigania hii nini mrudishwe huko.
Sasa sisi tuko na interest. Sasa wakataa hapo wakianza kukutana huko. Tuendelee.
Acha sawa. Wacha tu niwaongeleshe tu 1 minute tujui. No, wacha tu nimuongeleshe kama amekataa. 1 minute tu na nini. Hii yangu ni 2 minutes. Na hii decision wali arrive hata aje kuwaleta huku bwana. Kwani what is wrong na hawa watu? Hey. Mauritius. Oh, it makes sense. Okay. We can go on.
Yeah, but can we have also a limit now that he's here?
Oh, I think iko sawa. Alafu nyinyi pia mnaweza kataa moving forward kucover anybody kwa hii story ya bunge. Sio, ita make sense poa. Alafu sisi tuwa defend mrudi huko. Cause hii sasa kuna activities mingi nataka kufanywa huko bwana. Tuko ready? Nani ako na penda nisaidie nayo 1 minute. Bwana, uko deep state? Napiga sahi na nini tu sahi. Hii yako hii ukarabati yako iko sawa? Bwana. Haya now. Thank you members of the press. Honorable Doctor. Yeah, they are true. Huh? See, there are two, bwana. One was from Benin Republic and the other one from the House of Lords at the United Kingdom. So you know that. This is my statement concerning the Cabinet Secretary's nominees that were read yesterday by President William Ruto, and it reads as follows. Ambia watulie kidogo. And it reads as follows. My fellow citizens, let me start. Ambia watu bwana, hey. Ndugu, enda huko kwa kiwanja bwana, tunini tu kidogo tu. Hey. Intellectual ukiinterfere na mind yake bwana, sasa ina think of another thing. My fellow citizens, let me start by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones these last few weeks. I feel your pain, and I know meaningful healing comes. To those nursing injuries from the brunt of Ruto's forces in hospital beds and at home, I wish you quick recovery. May God console you. Kenyans, it is now exactly 1 month since the young people of Kenya came out in large numbers to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their representatives to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The Gen Zs and Millennials and Kenyans of goodwill, some young in body and some young at heart, stood together to say no to an oppressive tax regime. They also spoke. So I start again. Okay, ni paragraph moja tu. Okay, let me just start ni 1 minute tu. Uko ready? Thank you. My fellow citizens, let me start by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones these last few weeks. I feel your pain, and I know it will take time before meaningful healing comes. To those nursing injuries from the brunt of Ruto's forces in hospital beds and at home, I wish you quick recovery. May God console you. Kenyans, it is now exactly 1 month since the young people of Kenya came out in large numbers to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their representatives to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The Gen Zs and Millennials and Kenyans of goodwill, some young in body and some young at heart stood together to say no to an oppressive tax regime. They also spoke unequivocally that they want a reformed government. Young people in Kenya are concerned about 1. Poor agriculture production, which threatens our food adequacy, safety, and security. 2. Parents, teachers, and learners alike are all confused by the CBC syllabus and transition. College and university education has been made too expensive, and young Kenyans are not joining while others are dropping from colleges. 3. Our healthcare is now completely broken, with NHIF looted and left incapable of meeting claims by hospitals, some of which have now been forced to close down. Our infrastructure is crumbling, roads are not maintained, our ports are being auctioned, and basic access to water and electricity is out of reach to many Kenyans. The business environment has been destroyed by bad government policy in sector after sector. Foreign direct investment has gone down, and we have seen investors running away to neighboring countries, leaving Kenyans jobless. The unemployment rate has skyrocketed. The cost of living has gone beyond the roof, and many Kenyans cannot afford a decent living. To make matters worse, a burdensome tax regime is squeezing every blood out of Kenyans, killing their businesses and making their products less competitive. Sensing individual and collective failure, the young people came out to demand that their president confront these challenges. Instead, what did the president do? Number 1, he used goons to infiltrate peaceful demonstrations to get reasons to unleash violence against Kenyans. He used the police to unleash terror on young people. Resorted to abductions, forced disappearance, torture, killings, and mutilation of bodies of the Kenyan children. The president hoodwinked us by withdrawing the finance bill, but continued to implement its draconian provisions. He deceitfully dissolved his cabinet on grounds of incompetence, only to reappoint the same crooks. He completely refused to listen to the issues raised by Kenyans, and instead he raided the opposition to appoint cabinet secretaries in a bid to weaken oversight against his government and to gain cosmetic stability to consider the next general election. And
nyamaze kidogo hapo bwana.
Umefunga mlango.
Ndugu, heshima tu. Enda huko kwa kiwanja bwana. Kidogo tu.
Intellectual ukiinterfere na mind yake bwana, sasa inakuwa bwana. My fellow citizens, let me start by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones these last few weeks. I feel your pain, and I know it will take time before meaningful healing comes. To those nursing injuries from the brutal forces in hospital beds and at home, I wish you quick recovery. May God console you. Kenyans, it is now exactly 1 month since the young people of Kenya came out in large numbers to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their representatives to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The Gen Zs and Millennials and Kenyans of goodwill, some young in body and some young at heart, stood together to say no to an oppressive tax regime. They also spoke. So I start again. Okay, let me just start in 1 minute. You ready? Thank you. My fellow citizens, let me start by expressing my heartfelt condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones these last few weeks. I feel your pain, and I know it will take time before meaningful healing comes. To those nursing injuries from the brutal forces in hospital beds and at home, I wish you quick recovery. May God console you. Kenyans, it is now exactly 1 month since the young people of Kenya came out in large numbers to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition their representatives to reject the Finance Bill 2024. The Gen Zs and Millennials and Kenyans of goodwill, some young in body and some young at heart, stood together to say no to an oppressive tax regime. They also spoke unequivocally that they want a reformed government. Young people in Kenya are concerned about 1. Poor agriculture production, which threatens our food adequacy, safety, and security. 2. Parents, teachers, and learners alike are all confused by the CBC syllabus and transition. College and university education has been made too expensive, and young Kenyans are not joining while others are dropping from colleges. 3. Our healthcare is now completely broken, with NHIF looted and left incapable of meeting claims by hospitals, some of which have now been forced to close down. Our infrastructure is crumbling, roads are not maintained, our ports are being auctioned, and basic access to water and electricity is out of reach to many Kenyans. The business environment has been destroyed by bad government policy in sector after sector. Foreign direct investment has gone down, and we have seen investors running away to neighboring countries, leaving Kenyans jobless. The unemployment rate has skyrocketed, the cost of living has gone beyond the roof, and many Kenyans cannot afford a decent living. To make matters worse, a burdensome tax regime is squeezing every blood out of Kenyans, killing their businesses and making their products less competitive. Sensing individual and collective failure, the young people came out to demand that their president confront these challenges. Instead, what did the president do? For one, he used goons and criminals to infiltrate peaceful demonstrations to get reasons to unleash violence against Kenyans. He used the police to unleash terror on young people. Resorted to abductions, forced disappearance, torture, killings, and mutilation of bodies of the Kenyan children. president would wind us by withdrawing the finance bill but continued to implement its draconian provisions. He deceitfully dissolved his cabinet on grounds of incompetence, only to reappoint the same crooks. He completely refused to listen to the issues raised by Kenyans, and instead he raided the opposition to appoint cabinet secretaries in a bid to weaken oversight against his government and to gain cosmetic stability to consider the next general election and to ignore this and the next generation. No Gen Zs were nominated in this cabinet, no gender rule considered, thereby discriminating on women. Persons with disabilities were not considered. The only disabilities which were considered were mental disabilities, which were considered in the current cabinet. Fellow Kenyans, these last few weeks, I have been to the mortuaries in this country helping desperate parents, siblings and relatives, neighbors and friends identify the bodies of their loved ones brutally murdered and bodies dumped in quarries or wrongly registered to conceal murder by the state. I have stood by parents and communities burying young Kenyans killed by President Ruto and his rogue policemen following insane commands of people we put in office to secure our lives. As I speak today, so many parents and relatives are still distressed and emotionally broken as they try to search for their young children abducted by this dangerous regime. President Ruto has turned Kenyans against each other. Now he's trying to isolate some tribes and some ages and some regions to divide us some more. I want to say categorically that President Ruto is the real problem in this country. He is the real problem that this country is facing. He is the stumbling block to the modest reforms Gen Zs are asking for. In power in a cosmetic overhaul, we demand from Ruto these bare minimums. Pay to the families who've lost their loved ones 1 million Kenya shillings for funeral expenses they are incurring. Number 2, compensate the bereaved families at 10 million Kenya shillings each for the excruciating pain, agony, and suffering you have put them through. Declare a mourning day and hold a national funeral service mass in honor of the patriots you have killed. Pay all the medical expenses for the young people who have been brutalized by the police upon your instructions. Release all the young Kenyans that you abducted and continue to hold incommunicado. Release them today. Drop all the trumped-up charges you have pressed against innocent Kenyans who were arrested while calling for good governance of their country. Mr. President, you don't seem to get it. Young Kenyans are mad and angry and stressed, and they can't believe we just can't get a single thing right out of their modest demands. Kenyans want, number 1, a competent government capable of getting things done. They want government positions to be well thought out, well structured, and staffed with public-minded, based on meritocracy, not kakistocracy, qualified citizens committed, who are committed to a common good. They want you to address the rampant looting of public resources. They want you to stop interfering in the running of state departments. Give the bureaucracy space to do what they should do.
You don't know it all, and you cannot do it all. But as we ask you to do this, just know that the young people of this country are not afraid of you. We don't fear you. We expect you to serve us. Remember, the most important office in a democracy is the citizen. We, the people, can choose to exercise our sovereign power directly. May God bless you. May God remember our country, Kenya. Thank you, and God bless you. Any question, commission?
Just one question, those
We said clearly that those who have been injured, the medical bills should be taken care of by the government and also should be compensated because of the infringement of their right to demonstrate. And if you can't do that, there's a process, a judicial process that is going to take place to file for constitutional petition. And number one, the orders we shall seek is declaration of violation of human rights. There shall be, we shall seek compensation. There shall be damages that we shall want. And that cost of litigation shall be borne by the respondent, that is the state.
ODM officials have now joined the government. Have they cut these deals on the Gen Z blood? At the same time, is ODM dead?
Now, I'm here as Honorable Dr. Babu Owino. ODM has a spokesperson that can speak on behalf of the party, and that is the party Secretary General. I'm speaking on behalf of Kenyans who are agonizing because Ruto is antagonizing instead of organizing this country, and therefore he should be disorganized by Kenyans. So on matters ODM, those who accepted these positions, Gen Zs cannot come out to fight for you, and then you behave like hyenas. Gen Zs died, people died, other Kenyans died because of this. You are not party to it. Why should you accept these positions? That is a show of greed, and that should never be tolerated. That is a decision I'm giving as Babu Owino, not as ODM, although I'm in ODM.
Now they are saying, the agencies are saying it's high time Babu Owino to be in seat for the
The Gen Zs are saying that, we Gen Zs have said that.
They are saying
approaching you as the new opposition.
Yeah. Actually, from today henceforth, I'm the chief opposition leader because there are so many jobs doing rounds. There are so many people who are in the opposition who are now in bed with the government. My interest is to fight for Kenyans. It pains me to see a person who was a fellow member of parliament joining government. And it pains me to look back in Soweto slums, Kibra slums, to look back in central region, Nyanza coast and everywhere else, to see that child who has been sent away because he lacked only 5,000 to pay for their schooling in a secondary school. Sent because of 5,000. I'm so pained to see that child who's stuck in hospital cannot be treated because they lack money. Even money for x-ray that is around only 2,500. If you can't afford it, then you can't even be x-rayed. I'm so pained to see our young men and women moving around without jobs, seeing a boda rider in the sun from morning to evening, only gaining 50 shillings to 100 shillings in a day. Seeing a mama mboga, selling omena, only to get 50 Kenya shillings, 50 to 100 How will this parent collect this money to reach 300,000 Kenya shillings that Ruto wants in a university? So pained to see our children, our students who finished high school, are waiting to join university, cannot join because they can't afford it. Some people are dropping out because they can't afford it. Yet, we are encouraging patrimonialism, we are encouraging corruption, we are encouraging favoritism, we are encouraging mediocrity, we are encouraging kakistocracy. What are we doing as a nation? Mr. President, you fight on grounds that you are selling eggs, and on the grounds that you are selling chicken. You should know better what a hustler feels. It is because of education that made you live in State House today. Were it not for education, you would have never come to Nairobi. The same education you are denying to our children, to our brothers and sisters. You've forgotten the hustlers. You are no longer the hustler who used to preach the hustler narrative. What happened to you? Instead of just giving direct orders, instead of just employing people who are merit-based, who are capable of delivering services, because you have the resources, you borrowed enough money, we've never seen any single project done, completed, from the time you got in. What is happening with you? Instead, you're turning your back against, you're turning your back on your people. There can never be a government without a population that you are killing now. And this was a decision that was made during the Montevideo conference, that the characteristics of a state, number one, there must be a definite population. Why are you killing the population? What will you have to govern?
Do you think the new face of cabinet appointed by President William Ruto meets the demands of Gen Z?
The new face of cabinet does not meet any demand, not of the Gen Zs, not obeying even the two-third gender rule as enshrined in the Constitution, as envisaged in the Constitution. It goes against the tenets of the apex of the law, clearly. And I told you, even persons with disabilities are not considered. The only disability that President has considered is mental disabilities that he has decided to nominate in the cabinet. We want other persons with disabilities to be considered within the cabinet.
Mheshimiwa Daktari, if President Ruto decides to graciously give you the remaining question, one of the two positions to represent Kenyans and you, are you going to do?
I cannot accept any position from President Ruto. No, thank you. And that is a fruit from a poisoned tree. The fruit is poisonous and harmful and dangerous.
In terms of oversight, you have put a spirited fight to take over the park chair. Now the park chair is the treasury seal to become whatever the parliament approves. So are you also keen to take over specifically that position for oversight?
Going by the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances as was opined by Charles Louis, the Secondant, de Montesquieu, de Baron, that our work is to provide oversight roles. I wanted to be the park chairman then. Now I'm overqualified to be a park chairman. And I say no, thank you. I'm clearly saying that that is not the interest of the people. It is not what the people wanted. These people were never seen anywhere, not even protecting the interest of the Gen Zs. Why should they rush to take these positions? These positions, let Ruto as a person appoint his people. This is his government. We want competent people. We don't want him to invade opposition. But the work of opposition is to provide checks and balances, is to ensure that the government delivers that which they promised unto the people. Please, please, please pump me with more questions and ready answers. Sufficiently answered? Thank you very much and God bless you all.
You are welcome.
Hey, what up? It's the O to the G, Calligraph Jones.
And this is your girl, Femi One, Femi Uno.
And we're here to give you a chance to win tickets to our exclusive VIP party.
And you also stand a chance to win one of these monster boomboxes.